You can text Erick to 33777. Get the show notes, the live stream, the podcast, so much more. I would be delighted to have you. Now, I got to go back to a story from yesterday as we begin the show today because there are some updates to something that I actually think probably is the story we need to pay the most attention to. This is the ProPublica story that has been well covered by a lot of the press and is a blatant misrepresentation of the fetal heartbeat law in Georgia. And the moral of the story here is it shows how interconnected and collaborative the press and the Democrats are in seeing stories. Now, this has always been the case, but it was less noticeable when there were only three networks: ABC, CBS, and NBC, and PBS. Nowadays, there's a massive level of collaboration as ProPublica, a left-wing outlet, seeds a story and blatantly obfuscates what's actually happening. But the bigger issue here is that Republicans are always accused of lying even when they tell the truth. Democrats very often get to lie, and it's treated as the truth. And in this particular case, progressive lives have cost a woman her life, and it's the Republicans who are getting blamed. I want to begin with this from CNN. You got to hear it to believe it.
Kamala Harris leaning in on the fight over reproductive rights this week while on the campaign trail and highlighting some original reporting coming from ProPublica that at least 2 women in Georgia died just 2 weeks after the state's 6-week abortion ban went into effect in 2022. The reporting is talking about these women: Amber Thurman, Candy Miller, denied life-saving care that they needed, and it ended in tragedy. As ProPublica reports this, Thurman's case marks the first time that, let me make sure I get this all right. Thurman's case marks the first time an abortion-related death, officially deemed preventable, is coming to public light. Kamala Harris tweeting about the deaths and blaming Donald Trump, saying in part, quote, "A young mother from Georgia should be alive today, raising her son and pursuing her dream of attending nursing school. This is exactly what we," she says, "feared when Roe v. Wade was struck down in more than 20 states. Trump abortion bans prevent doctors from providing basic medical care."
This is Kate Bolduan at CNN with a progressive reporter from ProPublica perpetuating the lie that got this woman killed. The blood is actually on their hands, not the hands of Republicans in Georgia. You need to understand this. What is the fear-mongering that they were talking about at the beginning? The fear-mongering that the Republicans said was happening. The talking point from progressives was that if Georgia's law passed, people wouldn't be able to get abortions in the state. They wouldn't be able to get treatment for ectopic pregnancies, and they wouldn't be able to have a D&C. They wouldn't be able to have any of these sorts of things. None of that was true. The law in Georgia is actually very clear. In fact, Patricia Murphy is a writer at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution who the other day essentially said the law's not working the way the Republicans said it would. It needs to be less ambiguous. It's not actually an ambiguous law. What's actually happening is that reporters, and progressive activists, but I repeat myself, have lied so much about the law. People like this woman, Ms. Thurman, believed the lies from the left. They believed the fear-mongering. It's very clear in the record now from ProPublica's own reporting that this lady believed she wouldn't be able to get a D&C in Georgia after she went to North Carolina to have an abortion. She couldn't make it in time for her appointment due to traffic, so they gave her the abortion drugs. She took one of the pills there and was supposed to take a second pill at home, which she did. It partially aborted the child, but there were remnants of the fetal tissue that remained. It caused pain and bleeding and other things, and apparently she was convinced they would not give her a D&C, not because of the law, but because of the lies told by the left. And so she delayed treatment. She got sepsis. She wound up dying. The law did not cause her to die. The lies told by progressives and by reporters at CNN and in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, and in the Washington Post, and in the New York Times, and among progressive activists, and among Democratic politicians. Those lies got this lady killed. She believed their lies. The law had nothing to do with it, but they can't admit it was their lies, so they must blame Brian Kemp and the laws of the state of Georgia. The law of the state of Georgia was actually very clear. Contrary to the opinion writers at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, the law is extremely clear. If a child has a heartbeat, the child cannot be aborted. If it's an ectopic pregnancy, if it's a medical emergency, and ectopic pregnancies, among other things, are listed as emergencies in the law, then you can have an abortive procedure. You can have a D&C. In this case, there was no heartbeat, so obviously a procedure could be done. But the lady believed the lies, and so now they're like, oh, the law's ambiguous. The law is not ambiguous. You lied. CNN, you lied, and a lady died. And I do want to say to CNN, which still has operations in Atlanta where I'm broadcasting from, and I know a lot of reporters listen to me. Your coverage helped cause this lady's death, not the law, because you lied not only about the law, you lied about the drug. You at CNN, your reporters lied. Do you know that the drugs they give, the abortifacient drugs, 1 in 300 people who take them have serious complications, including death? One of the talking points has been that the drug's as safe as Tylenol. If 1 in 300 people were dying from Tylenol, would you take Tylenol? If 1 in 300 people died from Advil, would you take Advil? In fact, what happened is that the FDA strictly regulated these medicines until Obama came into office and progressive lobbyists freed it up. In fact, prior to Obama, you couldn't even take these drugs if you were more than 7 weeks pregnant. But Obama increased the term and made it more widely available. At a 9-week pregnancy, it's actually fairly common for this drug to cause parts of fetal tissue to be left behind, requiring a D&C. Now you add the lie spread by, hello, if there's anyone from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution listening right now, I want you to know your lies actually contributed to this woman's death because your reporters also claimed the law could prohibit, or that, I'm sorry, opponents of the law say, you didn't want to say it yourselves, you used opponents of the law say this could happen. And this woman clearly believed the lies, but now you're blaming Brian Kemp and you're blaming the Republicans, you're blaming the law, because God forbid reporters ever blame themselves for helping seed lies to the public. The people at CNN, the reporters at CNN, Kate Bolduan at CNN, in this reporting, the fear-mongering that she's talking about was the fear-mongering where Republicans said the law is very clear. You can get a D&C. If you have an ectopic pregnancy, you can have an abortion. The law is very clear. And the Democrats and progressives said, no, it's not. No, it's not. Women could die because they won't be having an abortion. The lies. This woman believed the lie. She waited a long time to go to the hospital. She wound up dying. That was not the law. The law was crystal clear. It was the lies that she believed that delayed her going to the hospital. And you people on the left, you people at CNN, you people at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, her blood is actually on your hands, not Brian Kemp's hands. Her death is actually on your lies that you help perpetuate, not on the law. But you'll never hold yourselves accountable. I know that. You're upset about J.D. Vance and the stupid story about the pets in Springfield, Ohio. And you're willing to say J.D. Vance seeding the story caused the hoaxes at the schools. You yourselves convinced a woman that she shouldn't go to the hospital to get treated with a D&C after abortion pills. Your reporting, you people in the press, your reporting on the abortion bill made people think it was actually very safe, when actually 1 in 300 people who take it have serious complications, including death. If 1 in 300 people in America were dying because of Tylenol, you know damn well, you people at CNN, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, the New York Times, you'd be beside yourselves demanding the government pull the medicine from the shelves. But because this is an abortion and you people worship at the cult of abortion, you decided to say 1 in 300 people, that's not much at all. It's insignificant. This medicine is as safe as Tylenol. Your lies did this. And I want to be very, very specific about the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. here in my city, Atlanta, Georgia, help perpetuate the lies. Kamala Harris has helped perpetuate the lies. CNN has helped perpetuate the lies. The New York Times has helped perpetuate the lies. And a woman has died because of it, and their response is to blame the Republicans, not themselves. You people want to lecture the rest of us on truth, misinformation, and disinformation, and you are the ones who seeded the misinformation and the disinformation. You are the ones who perpetuated it because you wanted the fear campaign. You wanted the fear mongering because you hoped it would kill the legislation. And when it didn't kill the legislation, you hoped if you continued to perpetuate the fear mongering, that you could actually do damage to the Republicans. Instead, what you've done damage to is women's health. And you can't hold yourselves accountable because you are arrogant. You can't hold yourselves accountable because abortion trumps everything else. You can't hold yourself accountable because your hatred of Republicans has allowed you to perpetuate the lies. This woman died, and your reaction is to say it's the Republicans' fault. The Republicans were very honest about what the law did. The Republicans were very honest about the treatments covered under the law. The Republicans were very honest about the treatment you could get under the law. And what did you do? You continued to do broad coverage of some critics say that actually the law wouldn't allow this. This progressive, pro-abortion doctor actually says that's not true. Who should we believe? The people who wrote the law or the doctor who's pushing a pro-abortion agenda? A woman's dead. More women are going to die. It's not going to be because of the law, because the law is very clear. Ectopic pregnancies, you can have an abortion. D&Cs, perfectly fine. The law is very clear. What is not clear is the muddied waters you people in the press pursued to scare people about the legislation. And that muddied water that you pursued and the talking points to the left are what got this woman killed. ProPublica, her blood's on your hands. You, again, are one of the outlets that continue to lie about this and fearmonger about this, and you're scaring women out of getting treatment at the hospital. It's not the law that's the problem. It's the way you arrogant people in the press have decided that abortion trumps everything, Republicans are terrible, and you will lie and obfuscate and scare people out of getting medical treatment so that you can then have those people die and run the salacious stories to attack the Republicans and attack people like Brian Kemp. I want you people at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, CNN, the New York Times, ProPublica, the Democratic Party, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, I want you all to understand that while you sleep at night blaming Brian Kemp and the Republicans in Georgia for this woman's death, it was actually your lies that did it because she believed your lies. And when you sleep well at night saying, oh, Erickson's just a partisan hack, I want you to understand something else. There will come a final day, whether you believe it or not, and you will stand in judgment before your Creator. And he will remember the lies that you told, and he will remember you did it to advance a partisan agenda. And you will be held accountable, not by me, not by anyone else, but by the divine God Almighty, because your lies cost a woman her life, and you can't accept the blame for your false reporting, your misreporting, and your disinformation. You would rather blame Republicans to score partisan points. That will be remembered.